So, my journey with Illustrator continues. I've been able to do some progress with my project, and this is it. This is the thing I'm working on, and these are all references. So this is the I guess you could call it a skin, but it's more of a rework of the user interface. See, this is the thing I'm trying to make look better, essentially. So you have all sorts of controls here. We have this is a standalone version, and this is a DLL version of the plugin. And here's the reworked version, as it were. This thing, the output section, is very much a work in progress, and still have to figure out how to organize these buttons, and that's going to be a fun task. But that really doesn't have anything to do with Illustrator. The things that I've been trying to figure out how to do efficiently are, first of all, as you can see, there are a lot of controls in this UI that I'm working on, and I have them organized in layers. So if you open up all the layers, we have the references here. Well, they don't really have anything to do with the UI, but then we have old logos. That's fine. You can just stay there. Then we have the output section, which is this one at the bottom here. So we turn that off. We can see that we have stuff like the background layer there and all that good stuff. Then we have the record section, which is this section in the middle here. We can turn that off to highlight it. Then we have the play section, which is this one. Then we have the header, which is this thing. And finally we have the side panel, which is at the side. There are some, because layers, I like the fact that there are layers. I very much enjoy having this on the screen at all times, because I often have to select something. I often have to see what's going on with work that I'm doing. Like in many programs, like in Photoshop, like in Blender, you have the outliner. You have all of these programs use similar type of mechanics, and I just wish that I could see more of the elements simultaneously, because often it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to go through the list and try to find what you're actually looking for. Let's say, for argument's sake, that if we zoom in here, we look at these button sections, and there's this dark background that I recently actually had to change for these because I think it was too dark. So let's say that this background for these buttons, and also for, say, this button, is too dark. So we want to make it just a little bit brighter. In Photoshop, that would be relatively simple chore, because when you're working with raster graphics, it's a pretty simple job to just throw some sort of layer on top of them. Like, let's say you have just some sort of this, and it doesn't have, you put like 10% opacity for it, and then you just filter it in a way that it only affects the very dark parts of the underlying layers. So that's a very simple solution. What's the solution here? Well, I hope it was something as easy as that, but unfortunately, we're gonna have to go looking. So we start digging at first, because I have to find where are these elements that I require. Let's go here. So we don't need the output. It's definitely not in the output, so we can close that up. It's not in record. We can close that up. It's in the play section, so I'm just gonna close up these ones so that they don't clutter the workspace. There's so much clutter. I'm always fighting the clutter, trying to get rid of all the clutter. So where are these things? Well, we can select these, so we can actually see, like, here's the rectangle. So we can open this up, and there are the buttons here, and then we have the backgrounds for that one and the background for this one. So there are different elements. So we need to select this one and this one. Okay. Then we need to select the other ones for the other section of that. So here's the beats group, and we have these things here, and we can select those. Now we still need this one. Now where's that one? Okay, I have these selected, so I can't select this, because then I can just like preview where it is. So it's right there. Okay, so now I undo, and it so undo doesn't affect selection, so I just kind of screwed that up. Okay, so I have to select these again. So these are here, and then I get these here, and the one was, I have to just remember that it was, this is not even bad, but imagine having a project where you have like 10 times the amount of elements, because this is not the largest plugin that I can imagine. Just imagine working on something like the serum. Well, I don't have it visual here, but yeah, it would be a nightmare. So now we have these selected, so now I can affect the color, and that's nice. I can't really see the color, because if I zoom to 100%, so here you have, we're at 137. So if we zoom out here, I can't really see it. So there's, the view menu is quite interesting, and it took me quite a while at first to start going through this menu and see like all the hide and show little commands here. Like we have hide bounding box. Okay, that helps. We still have something going on here that's obstructing our view. So what is that? Is it smart guides? No, so we have to turn that back on. Is it, what could it be? Hide corner widget. No, that's not it. Okay, so what could it be? What could this be? You just have to know what it's called. That's not very ideal. Is it gradient annotator? No. What is that? Artboard? No, that's the I know what an artboard is, because I've it's a weird name, but still I know what it is. I don't know what that is. I can't hide text threads. Hide edges. There we go. That was the one. That was the magic button. And this is a problem, because typically I want to see those guides, but if I want to change something like a color of this pixel, because I want to see it in this view so that I know what the plugin is going to look like. Otherwise, I have to keep zooming in and zooming out and changing things, and well, how does this look? And go back and change a little thing, go zoom back out, how does this look? And then keep changing the same thing until finally I just settle on something like, okay, it's fine enough. But I don't want fine enough, so I have to keep turning everything off, and now I can actually change the color and see what the effect is going to be like. I want this, the brighter side, the top side is kind of too dark. So it's giving me... Because if you compare it to this one, and this one is a darker section, but this looks a way more balanced section than the top one. Here, I think there's too much contrast with the top section of the buttons and the panel here. So I want to brighten this up, and it keeps resetting this color. I don't know why it keeps resetting this. I've selected this for like 100 times. Whenever I reopen the program, it just keeps offering me the RGB, which is useless. It's completely useless, because I want this to be brighter, but it's like, well, then I have to keep brightening up everything a little bit, and that's not what I want to do. So I have to go here, and this should be 210, because that's what I've settled on. And then I can start fiddling with the brightness. So if we set this to like really bright, we can see a change on the screen. And this is what I want to do. I want to do meaningful changes, and where I can see what the end result is going to be. And I've figured out a sort of workflow that helps me to do that, and it makes me happy. And there's a problem with this thing. Because here you can use the arrow keys to go up and down, but as you can see, I'm pressing up, it doesn't do anything. If I press down, it goes down for a little bit and then doesn't go down anymore. If I press shift and up, it goes up. If I press shift and down, it goes down to like 10 degrees or percents, and then doesn't go down anymore. And this changed to 215. I think there's like some sort of color. I don't know why. It's 208. It's approximating something, but I don't like it. I want it to be like, I want it to be 210, what I set it to be. And it's not that. It keeps changing. Now it's 210, and now it's 208, and now it's 207, and it's 6, and now when I go back, it's 214, 16, 205. I don't know what's going on. I'm sure there's an explanation for that, but it's just throwing me off. I'm wondering why is that happening, and now I have to start researching that thing that I don't really care about. I don't care that it's happening or what the reason for it is. I just want to have my thing. But yeah, that's a problem. So now I'm trying to make them brighter, a little bit brighter, and see like, okay, there's not as much contrast now as before, and I kind of like that a little bit better. Maybe there could be a little bit of contrast. But see, when I'm holding this and dragging this around, I can't see the preview on the screen. That is a problem. I always have to let it go, 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 let it go. See the preview on the screen of the effect that I want to have. I want to see the preview. Why do I have to let go of the mouse? That kills the workflow. It's forcing me to focus on the UI of Illustrator. I have to work around the program. If it just showed me the thing, I wouldn't even think about like what am I doing with my mouse. I would just hold, and I would be looking at the screen. I would be looking at this point, and I'm just like thinking, is this better? Is this better? Now it looks like it's kind of in the right spot, and that's perfect. And I let go of the mouse, and then I have the value that I like. But no, it's like you have to keep doing this thing all the time just to see a preview. I don't know what I like. Is this even fixing the problem? It could be. Let's leave it there. Anyway, so there's a lot of clutter in the layers section, and honestly, there's some stuff that I need to clean up. Like there's this thing. There's a button that I didn't end up using, but I like save it because maybe I need it at some point. Maybe I get rid of like this mute button. I need this instead, so I'm gonna hide that one and use this one. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm gonna end up doing. Maybe this is gonna be useful at some point if I have to change the UI somehow, or maybe if I have to use this space for something else, then the mute button is gonna be here. Who knows? But I don't want to get rid of it. I want to save it, and I guess I could use some sort of library functionality. There's like a library here, and I could maybe add this whole thing there, like this. And because I hit everything on the screen, now I have to like go and turn everything back on. Now I know the hotkey for the bounding box now, but I also want to see the edges. Where's that again? Show edges. Control H. Okay. This looks so useful. Anyway, I'm gonna save the graphic here. So now we have a graphic that we can hopefully, yeah, there we go. So I don't have to save it here. I can save it in the library, and I like that it's a possibility. But this is how I'm used to working on Photoshop, so I automatically do it. I guess I could just learn to do it this way. But let's say I just want to have some sort of group here that I want to have all the useless stuff in, because there's like undo and redo, these sort of icons that I was experimenting with, but I don't think they really fit the aesthetic of the rest of the plugin. So I'm like, okay, let's put these in a group. Let's just select this one. So I can't select these things like from here. I'm trying to click here, but it doesn't select the layer. So I have to remember to click on one of these parts, and then I click like here. Oh, wait a minute. Can't use Shift, I need to use Control. Definitely, if I use Shift, it's gonna select like normally, like in a Windows program, it's gonna select like the list from this to the next one. But I need to use Control, select these things. And now I want to group these. So I know the hotkey for grouping is Control G. So I hit Control G, and nothing happens. Well, I'm leaving you on because I just tested this and it was kind of driving me nuts. So actually, this doesn't select these layers. It doesn't select them. And in Photoshop, of course, it does select these layers. When you just click the layer, it's selected. Photoshop logic. But what you have to do is select the layer. You have to click here. One of these things, like this section of the layer. And that was. Now I can group this if I want to, but I don't. Of course, I don't want to group that. I want to group these things. So I select this thing, but I can't select it because it's not visible. So here's an indicator of what I want to do, is that these things are not visible. So I want to select them to do something about them, but I can't because they're not visible. I can't select them. So I turn them visible, and now I just have to remember which layers were the ones that I wanted to select. And of course I know this is one, this is one. Oh wait, I was trying to hold Control. Because of course, when you want to select different things, you hold Control. But no, that doesn't work. I have to select this and hold Shift. And then select these things. Because that makes sense. Like, it's just... And then I try to group these, and it won't work, but I'm trying to. And I'm getting used to these sorts of convention in Illustrator. I try to do something, and it tells me you can't. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, why can't I do this? And it doesn't tell me. It tells you can't make a group of objects that are within different groups. But I didn't select object, like these are all part of the same group, the play group or the layer. I guess there's a difference between a layer and a group, but they're all underneath this thing. But I guess it means these things underneath this thing. And is this the problem? There's one that is not visible, so it didn't select it. If we select this, it selects the whole group, and now I can group these. Yes. It's just so much management. You have to do so many things to do a simple. It's just I wanted these all to be in a group, and it keeps getting in the way. Fine. Okay. Well, another way I can do it, if this even works the same way, I can make a layer. I put the layer inside the play group. I go here, I select I have the stuff selected that I wanted, and I put this inside the layer here, and it works. Does it? No, of course, because I didn't select the layers. If I want to move these inside the group, I can't select the stuff like this. I have to... Okay, let's make the new layer. I have to select these things like this, and I hold Shift, but it doesn't select them the correct way, so I have to hold Control and select these, and then I move these. It's so much, it's like some sort of ritual that you have to do in a very specific way, and you draw markings with blood, and you have to check the... It's... and now they're in there, so I can hide this. And it takes a little less room. And this is like old nonsense. And this is, by the way, this is like a very long layer name. I can't see the layer. I see old no. What does old no mean? I don't know. So if... can we... Yeah, now I can see it if I like drag this all the way here. Is this useful to me? I don't know. it's starting to take so much space. Since the UI is getting in the way of working. Okay, this doesn't need to be this large, so we can allocate a little bit space for the layers palette. Is it a panel or palette? It's one of those things. But so yeah, I like having the layers. Let's call it panel. Let's call it a palette. I like to have the layers palette open because I can clearly see all the stuff that I need when I'm working on stuff. I just wish that it would select these. So now I can select stuff here. Okay, I need the clear button, this button here, so I can just select it here and fine, everything's fine. But also, I need some other data. I often need, so like here, I select the clear button. I select the rectangle because I need to do something about it. But I can't, for an example, I can't change the stroke here. But for the longest time, I just went to the properties thing and I started like changing the stroke here. Is this exactly the same thing? So this is kind of driving me nuts also. You can do the same exact thing in multiple places and it's confusing. You have the quick actions here. Do you have the quick actions in here? I don't think so. What's this arrow? There's nothing. That's nothing. So you can't do the quick actions here. So you actually need this panel, the properties panel, to do these things. But can you do this recolor artwork? Is there a place where you can do it here? Appearance, attributes. No, I don't think so. So I'm just stuck with, unless it's like something here. Edit gradient, FX. So I need these both, but they both have like same things. So I can change the fill here. Okay, let's sell something bigger so then we don't have to turn the here. My thought process here is that, okay, I have this little tiny thing selected and I'm trying to change the stroke, but it's so tiny that I need to turn the bounding boxes and the edges and the things off again. So I'm thinking of maybe let's select something bigger. I can select these, but that's locked. So let's select this thing. But here again, the bounding box is getting in the way, so I can't really change the stroke. So can you see the change on the stroke if I do this? I don't know. Am I doing something? so I need to actually. Oh, and I need to hide the edges. So I need to keep hiding stuff. Luckily, I know the hotkeys for those. No, but it's kind of well, what can you do? I mean, it's not like it can just read your mind. Like I'm changing something, unless. Let's say for an argument, when do you need these things? I really need these things when I'm working on this view. When I'm trying to resize something, when I'm looking at where is this element located at, or for the edges, I'm thinking like, well, where are the anchor points and that sort of thing. Do I really need them when I'm changing like properties here? Maybe, but could there be an automatic feature where if you, for an example, click this, could these things hide automatically? Because obviously I want to see the stroke now. So when I'm changing the settings for the stroke, I just would like these all to hide and go away so I can do my job. But I have to do it manually. There's so much manual work required in the simple things. Anyway, I'm changing the stroke. Now I'm thinking, is this selected? No, I just moved my mouse so quickly that it's highlighted now. This autosave thing here, but it's actually not selected. That's kind of also confusing. Same thing with this thing. Is this like Yeah. I'm always thinking like, did I select that? Am I changing the values for that thing now? But no, it's just a rendering issue. So now I'm changing the stroke. There was a problem here when I was changing the color for the stroke from here. When I click away, it reverted back to the original one. I don't remember how I ended up there, but there was a weird issue like that. Let's try this here. Let's change the stroke color here to yellow. And it shows me the stroke here, by the way. It's like, yeah, you got a yellow stroke here. And it works. Okay, so never mind. But I distinctly remember trying to change the stroke color here, and it just reverts back to what is this called? Is there a name for this? None. Okay. I can't fault you for that because I can't replicate it, but anyway. So really, honestly, when I have something selected, let's say, what can we have selected? This thing, okay. And I'm changing the stroke. Like, you can change the weight here, and you can change the weight here. You can also change the weight here. What is this now? Corner radius. Okay, that's fine. But you can also change the corner radius. We can't change it here. Why can't you change the corner radius here? And you also have the appearance here. We can change the stroke weight and the color and the color and the color and the color. We can't change the color here. Why? This is so confusing. Like, there's so many places where you can do changes, but then they are all missing something. It would be so incredible if you got rid of all the clutter in the UI. Like, this is a good place to make changes, I think. But that's just because I'm used to it. I also got used to changing it from here, but you can also change the color from here. But this is a different one. You never see this color picker anywhere else. If you try to change the color here, you don't see the color picker. If you try to change the color here, you can't see the color picker. You get this thing, but that's not the same. You can't click this. If you try to change, well, you can't change the color there. If you try to change the color here, now you get the color picker. I didn't even know that. But that's the thing, like, why? This is kind of... I mean, you have to see the problem here. You get all these places where you can do the same thing, but kind of in a different way, and they're all missing something, but the other places have something, like, extra. If you could just have, like, one centralized place where you can do the one thing that the user needs to do, it would make so much more sense, and you could get rid of all the clutter in the UI. Imagine just getting rid of this properties panel for good, never needing this, but I kind of need this. I think I need this for something. Like, there are the quick actions that I kind of like sometimes, and it's an easy place to go to and change all the like corresponding settings. Like, I often need to change all these things, and then you can get the appearance here, but it doesn't close it from this, and this happens here, but when you click it, it closes. It's kind of like, why is this happening? This one behaves differently from everything else. It's a problem. I expect some sort of predictability from a user interface, and I don't get it here. I can't predict what is happening when I do something. So imagine, for a moment, if you would, the gradient thing could be implemented in a some sort of color panel. There could be I think there's gonna have to be, there's a color panel here. But this is like a half a panel. This is barely doing the work of one panel. And this thing that is gradient stop color. Click the cancel. Alright. And I think it's doing, because this thing is like flashing. So I think it's doing something, but I have no idea what. I couldn't tell you. It doesn't... is it resetting something? I mean, it says click to cancel. So I'm kind of I'm kind of canceling something here, but I don't know what. It's... If I do this, does it like... No, it doesn't cancel even that change. But it does something, because of... When I do this, there's like undo history that I don't know what it's doing. I guess it's doing something. It has to be doing something. There's like some sort of explanation I'm missing. That I just don't see the effect on the screen, but there's something happening. And I get that. Somebody needs that. Fine. It's kind of confusing. I'm expecting to be able to change the, like, get the color picker from here, like this thing. But it doesn't happen because there's no predictability with the UI. And then you get this thing. It's called hue, saturation, brightness, spectrum. But it's not really. Can you change the saturation here? I mean, it's changing. But what if I want like a gray color? I just want to get a nice gray shade. How do you do that? Here? No. Because you always have a hue here. It never goes to like I can't even really, like, you never get this thing. Here you can select a gray value, and then you select the hue here, and this is actually like a useful thing, where you can do the exact thing that you want to do by just like clicking around. Here you can't do that. If you want to select like, let's say we want to select like this type of color. You can't do that, like, you have to select first, you have to go to the kind of green, and then you have to start to fiddle with that here. And you can't get straight to the value, you have to first make it like brighter. I think it was kind of bright what I wanted, and then you kind of turn it more gray, and this is how you get like a gray value, but I don't want to get like that. It's kind of there, but it's brighter, but it's like... You have to start filling with these, but this is kind of useless then. What is this used for? If I want blue, I can just go blue with the hue. That kind of rhymes, so that must be true. I hope I could see like this color picker just more. And I know that's just me. I know there are people who say that the color picker is useless. I know some of my friends say that, and they're like, well, in Corel Painter or whatever, there's this great color picker that they just love and adore. So it's a personal taste, I get it. But I don't see the value in this thing. This looks very 1990 to me. So have I completely destroyed my undo history? Let's see. No. And anyway, even if I have... I like the fact that you can just get the color picker, even if the hotkey is I, or the eyedropper tool, and we can just select this one and it switches the style to match that one. That is a great feature. I really like that one. So those are kind of my observations at this point. There are good things about the program, definitely. So for an example, I was really enjoyed using... Let me show you. This is one of my favorite tools here. Let's get rid of the stroke. I don't know why, if you go to the default, I wish the default didn't have stroke, but whatever. If we want to do something like, let's say, and this is, okay, another thing. This is a small thing, but in Photoshop, let me open Photoshop for you. Why isn't my start menu is not showing? Just for comparison, if I want to select a tool that's underneath this, I drag it out and it works. You know, this is very specific, so I need to emphasize this. So I have the mouse over the thing. I'm not clicking here, but immediately when I try to drag, it opens up the menu. In Illustrator, it doesn't work like that. If I drag, it doesn't do anything. It shows me like, well, you can't drop the menu item here or something. You have to click and hold, and then you can drag. And that is... it's just feels antiquated compared to Photoshop. I don't know why Photoshop is so many leaps and bounds ahead of Illustrator on user interface. I don't know what it is. But anyway, we can do all sorts of cool stuff with this thing. And let's change this to... Did it just open that up automatically? No, I guess I was dreaming. And this thing. Okay. I've been trying to change the color to black in this color picker for so many times. So many times. Because in Photoshop it just works. Let me show you this. If we go here, we have white color selected. And I go here, and this is how I typically work. I just pick like something, drag it to the corner, and it's black. Or if I want the red, I'm just like, and it's red. Or white, black, it's just black. But here, it doesn't work. If I drag, it like drags off the color picker and it changes back to the original color. See, like if I go here, it's kind of driving me crazy. You have to be so specific with this thing. I guess there's more leeway. No, there's not. There's like a... Yeah, there's like some sort of 30 pixel radius around this thing. Kind of insane. But anyway. Oh, it changed the color of that thing. Did I have that selected? Yeah, I guess I did. Okay. So I wish also... This is another thing. I wish I could deselect these things by hitting S, hitting Control D. Because that's deselect in Photoshop. Is there some sort of deselect key that I can use? Object, deselect. I don't know. Why am I looking for this? It should be just, I think in Inkscape or whatever, it's just S. But here you have to, well, I don't want to say you have to do this because I just don't know. Maybe there is a key for this. But I feel like, at this point, I don't know what it is. So I just have to go select another tool. I have to click somewhere. Then I can select the tool again. And I can change the color to black. Paint it black. And then I can start working on this. Yeah. But anyway. We're doing something. We're doing something with our lives. Whoa. Well, let's just... Yeah. And that is that. Now what I enjoy about Illustrator is this tool. And this is pretty great. The shape builder tool. And it's exactly what I want in a tool. Or in anything. In like, when I'm doing art, I want just stuff that works. I can select these things. And I start selecting stuff. No, actually, I want to Alt minus this. And I can plus this. Plus this, plus that stuff. When I hit enter, I can even get some options for it. And there you go. We have this shape now. And I just drew a bunch of garbage, and now it's a cool shape that I can. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. This is like, it works just the way I want to work on any program. I just do stuff, and then I can make useful stuff out of that. It is brilliant. So let's end there. Let's end on a high note. So that's something that I actually enjoy about this program. And I guess there are a lot of good tools around when I... Oh, now this is white. I guess I changed that at some point. Anyway, you just use the eyedropper. There we go. Is this darker now? Oh, wait. Let's not end on a high note. Why is this gradient at 0% now? Why? What happened there? This is 90. This should be 90. It doesn't save the angle? Oh my goodness gracious. I was just getting excited about the good stuff in the program, and then something like that happens? Alright, Let's end here. We're still ahead in my book, so let's end there. Yeah, that's it. That's all.